Hey, thank you for joining me today. I'm Miss Emily from the Leaf Youth Program, and today we're going to do a little craft project together. We're going to learn how to make garden mosaics, which is a really fun activity. You're inspired by nature and the garden to get crafty and make a little project. Do you know what a mosaic is? A mosaic is a piece of art where a large picture is made from small bits or small pieces. It's often done with pieces of glass, pieces of tile. You could find a pool that's covered in tile that might have a mosaic on the bottom where it's made a picture. This type of art was first done by the Greeks and Romans, so it's a very ancient type of art, and you can actually apply it with lots of different materials. First, I'll show you one example so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. This is a mosaic. The larger picture is a bird, and it's made out of small bits. You can see it's made out of, this one is actually made out of beans and seeds. So there's some lentils, some white beans, all sorts of things that were dried and found in our kitchen. So that's one example of a mosaic. And because we're doing garden mosaics today, I want to take inspiration. No matter whether the material comes from the garden or from nature, I'm still going to take inspiration. And so I'm going to do, all my examples today are going to be this bird from the garden. So to start with, what kind of materials do you need? You actually have a lot of options. You could, like in that example I showed, you could use dried beans and seeds from your kitchen. So in here I have, again, some chickpeas, some black beans, some red lentils. Those are a nice mosaic material to use. I have different colors and textures and it'll look really nice. You could also, if you happen to have, I have some dried flower petals and stem pieces, all of that. Is another good option. You could use pieces of leaves from outside, little pieces of dried grass. You know, go outside and collect pieces. Any small bits can be turned into mosaic art. But if you don't have a good natural garden-inspired material, you can still make some mosaic art. Here I have a bunch of little cut pieces of paper. If you're doing it with kids, you can cut those a lot bigger, make it a lot easier to hold and glue down. You could also use something that's already a sticker, and then you wouldn't even need glue. Something like these simple dot stickers is a good option. If you're working especially with younger kids, you can make a big outline for them and then they can fill it in with the dot stickers. And I actually did a bird with the dot stickers and it turned out pretty cool, I think. They also make a cool marker that comes where it's kind of like a bingo stamper where you get a nice dot. So if you have something like that, you could even do it with just those markers or with bingo stampers. You can do it like with the dot one on just a piece of paper where you start your outline. So here's my bird on just a piece of white paper. If you're gonna just add paper to that, then you can use something as simple as a glue stick or some simple white glue. If you're doing your seeds or your flower petals, you're probably going to want to use the white glue because you want it to have a little more liquid to sort of squish in and stick around. For the base of those, you might want something sturdier because you want it to sort of not get too heavy for the paper. So on that, I recommend using a piece of cardboard. You can just cut it out of any sort of packing box you have. And then again, making your outline. So when we're working with the seed mosaics, we're going to want to start with our white glue, and we're going to put down like some nice blobs, nice outlines, trying to keep it all within the lines of our shape, but you can put a pretty decently thick layer of these. Then you're going to want to take your little pieces. So this is good, you know, if you are doing this with really little kids, you want to work with them and supervise because these are small pieces, but it's also a really good practice of using your hands, getting some sorting skills, choosing your colors. It's a fun way to do art while also working on other skills. And if the kids are a little older, then they might get more excited to make a pattern or a design versus just fill in the space. See, what I've done is I've put the glue down and then I've added my beans and seeds. And so I'm gonna keep going, but then you wanna leave it flat and give it a good amount of time to dry. And so that's the basic idea of doing sort of the seeds or the nature pieces. Is cardboard's a good base because that gives you something sturdy to hold up the weight of the pieces. And then you just start to glue and make your patterns and designs. You can turn the ones that you do on cardboard you can punch a hole in the top and you can turn it into a Christmas ornament. So this one I hang on my Christmas tree. This is all done with flower petals. Or just to show you again, the one that was all done with the beans and seeds. So you have a nice effect with the cardboard here, kind of a natural look. You can just do it on a piece of paper. And so that works well with stickers and it works well with little cut pieces of paper. I had some colored paper, just some pieces that I cut into I cut them into pretty small squares because I wanted to be able to make a design. But you can definitely cut them a lot larger. You can just use basic construction paper, or you could even rip up pieces of tissue paper and that would work just as well. For this, a glue stick will do the job, or you can use a thinner layer of the white glue. So again, we're just filling in the area where we want to add our pieces and kind of coming together and making a picture. And whether you make a design or not, I think it ends up turning out looking pretty cool. And since these are garden mosaics, I definitely recommend thinking about what's inspiring in the garden, what would be a fun thing to make. You don't have to make just a shape, you could make a whole scene, you could do a garden as your whole look overall. And it kind of gives that cool look. The little tiny pieces of paper kind of give that look of tiles, which is fun because it's just a little different than if you just drew a picture, right? So what would you make your garden mosaic out of? What kind of things do you think you could find in nature that are nice small bits? Or what do you think you could find in your house or in your kitchen cabinets? Because that's where I got my beans and seeds, right? So I just took a little bit of time to finish my mosaic made out of just paper. And I just wanted to show you again a couple examples of how this idea can be done with all sorts of different materials. So this still needs some time to dry, but we've got our bird done with just small cut pieces of colored paper. We have our dot stickers, which can be really fun to do. And then we've got our ornament, where it is natural pieces from flowers and flower petals. And again, we've got our seeds, and we know that seeds are an important part of the garden because that is the baby of every plant. So that's what starts out every plant is a seed. So our beans and seeds are a really good way to connect our mosaic to the garden. So I hope one of those ideas looks interesting to you and you have a chance to be inspired by nature, be inspired by the garden, and come up with a subject that you would want to illustrate using the tool of a mosaic. So I hope you do them. If you make a garden-inspired mosaic, please show us, tag us on Instagram at Common Good City Farm. We'd love to see your artwork, and we hope you have the chance to get crafty. Thanks again so much for joining me, and remember we'll be putting new leaf lessons with me, Miss Juan, Nate, up every Sunday at 4:30, so join us again. Thanks so much.